This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, qualify it through a variety of methods: time, people, places, and things. But at its heart and at its core, the Auburn experience is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, Auburn family stuff. And say it with me, folks, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. So thank you so much for joining us and what we're going to be doing on episode 142 of the Auburn Experience podcast. As always, I'm your host, Kyle Loomis, and alongside me once again, after having a great homecoming weekend, Mr. Austin Scott. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you. War Eagle Kyle, War Eagles to all our viewers and listeners. Happy homecoming. It's come and gone. What a great time it was with lots of festivities we'll get to talk about. And man, it always is a good time to have the Auburn family back. Felt like there was a ton of people in town all week. So we got plenty to unpack, but I hope everyone had a happy homecoming.
Honestly, I'm glad you brought that up, because I know we can save this for the homecoming talk here, but I felt the same way, that people showed up. Obviously, for an early game, you got to get there earlier, but I just felt like there was a lot of people in town for this particular homecoming, and I think it's indicative of a little bit more excitement around the program, but just also It was a beautiful day, a little warm. We'll talk about it. Why are we? Never mind. I'm not going to get into it already here on the show. I guess I could. It could be my thing. I just want to start by ranting about. Hold your horses for that. But obviously, we've got so much that we want to talk about today in this particular space. Our main topics are going to be breaking down Auburn versus South Alabama, the very first time, the homecoming game. We'll talk about the festivities also in another main topic, and other things around homecoming weekend. And then we've got lots of things in Auburn potpourri, like some schedule news for spring sports, and they'll be playing in the fall as well. Other little things, and just a lot of heavy and big news things this week, Auburn related and kind of out there as well. But, you know, anything on your mind other than watches, Austin, as you look at that?
That could be one thing, right? Well, apparently watches are the,
it could be
two things. Two watches are the new topic for Cam Coleman. If you're the star wide receiver, he knows what time it is. Let him watch whatever, let him see the time anytime he wants. But I was going to ask you, Kyle, because this is something we bring up every year, and I thought about it.
Oh, I knew it.
What I need your take on the homecoming video.
It was good as always. Once again, War Eagle Productions. Although, do we still call them War Eagle Productions, or are they just now War Eagle Plus, all under one banner?
I think it's still War Eagle Productions. I
think
they're still in charge of it all.
To everyone involved, every year in every aspect of Auburn's media, social media, all that kind of stuff, just outstanding stuff as always. Video is always a winner, especially at homecoming. If you've been here as part of the podcast, you know I love me some homecoming videos. They tend to get me a little bit choked up at times. None more than that video from like 5 years ago now.
I'll say 5. Yeah.
It was the one where it's the Compass song from Lady Antebellum, or Lady A, whatever they're called now. And man, that one to this, I have that one saved in my drive. And when I'm having a bad day and I need to feel good about something other than reading my Bible, I just go straight to that, and it makes me feel a lot better about life. But anyway, I thought they did an outstanding job as always, Austin. There's such a high watermark with homecoming videos. Unfortunately,
sure.
Like to meet once that one happened. That I was literally walking across campus when that one debuted, and I had to stop, sit down, and just go, I can't walk across this field here looking like I just bawled my eyes out. So anyway, sorry.
I thought it was good. I loved it. It's always shows lots of families, lots of kids, lots of beautiful scenes of campus. How can you not have Miss Letitia narrate it too? She's a fan favorite.
I forgot about that.
She did a fantastic job. You know what, Colin? I'll give you a little bit of insight. I had heard that Miss Octavia Spencer was originally the ask to be on there, just couldn't work out. I think I'm actually happy that it was Miss Letitia, because she's such a one of those people in the background, but everybody knows. And if you don't know, you know who I'm talking about. Just look her up. And I just love that she got to be a part of it.
Can we just be honest here? Like, it would have been great if Octavia had been able to do it, and it just, perfect marketing, all that kind of stuff. And I guess we all kind of maybe anticipated when she was going to be the Grand Marshal.
Sure.
But as soon as I heard the voiceover, it was like, this is an Auburn voice, and I know who this is, and why can't I place it? And then I saw her through Tiger Walk, and I'm like, it was Tish. Like it was, and I was like, brilliant. Why has
Yep.
this not happened since then? So if you
She
don't
did
know
great.
Letitia, man, outstanding job. I mean, that's what brings it all together, is if you get the right voice, the right person, not just a voice, but the right person with their story to tell the homecoming story. A plus in my view. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a good one to start the show with. I mean, because honestly, the next couple of things here, we're going to not have so much fun discussing this evening, but certainly it is something that we need to do. If you haven't paid attention this week, whether it's specifically related to Auburn, tertiarily, even the vast reaches, it has been a rough week of just not fun stuff in our country, tragedy after tragedy. Please understand that the things that we'll spend time on here today talking about, you may not want us to spend time about talking. We may even not spend enough time talking about your specific topic or tragedy that happened this week. But Austin and I have always been very upfront about our faith in Jesus and how that anchors us, grounds us in moments like this, whether we are personally and most directly affected by this, or just we're a bystander. But man, it's been a tough week, Austin, and we certainly have a very big Auburn story that transpired last week, and we could have talked about it, but we waited a week. We'll get to that in a second. But I think it would be wrong for us not to acknowledge the assassination of Charlie Kirk this week. And we're not really a show that loves to dive into the politics of it, but it is in the Auburn spectrum. And whether you like it or not, that does come around from time to time, and we would be remiss if we didn't bring it up. Obviously, I think most people know the story by now, so we won't rehash all of that. An assassination that was politically driven, and it has stretched far and wide. And even to this moment now, there are prayer vigils going on that are setting records and things like that. And that is just a great thing to see. And I think it's safe to say that his legacy will live on outside of that, whether you agreed with him or not. It's a tragedy, if for nothing else, the loss of a husband and a father to two beautiful children and a lovely wife. How she has carried herself this week is just, I don't know how you do that. I've been through some fairly big tragedies in my life, even some recently, and I still cannot fathom that, how that happened. But let me, I know most of you are screaming, mad at us for even bringing it up. First of all, I don't know how you could be. We've covered other sides of the political spectrum on this as well here and talked about things very openly. That's kind of what the whole thing, Charlie, was about in the first place. There was a prayer vigil at Auburn because most of his organization Turning Point USA has chapters or sub-organizations at each school, or a lot of schools, I should say. And from what I understand, it seemed like Charlie was very fond of his Auburn chapter, led by Brylan Hollyhand as one of the major people that's involved there. And it was a beautiful, from what I could see, I was able to stop by on Friday evening outside of Hargis Hall. A great crowd showed up, and there was a lot of prayer, reflection, and from people from different walks of life. People want to divide us up and conquer us in some way, but every single race, every single perspective, walk of life, people just wanting peace showed up. And once again, whether we go back to the peaceful protests or demonstrations that happened at Auburn with coaches involved, with players involved after the George Floyd situation and everything else that happened that summer and that season. Once again, Auburn, I think, comes out for the most part, at least those that choose to put themselves forward publicly, and displays the best of what makes us Auburn, and that we love each other. This is about Auburn men and women. This isn't about Auburn right person, Auburn left person. This isn't about Auburn this race, that race, all that kind of stuff. I loved seeing that and coming together. It doesn't mean there weren't detractors for that. Trust me, we've seen you. Trust me, we're dealing with you. And it's okay for you not to like what was said, what was being remembered, and all that kind of stuff. But, you have to kind of ask yourself, are you living by the Auburn creed in the way that you're choosing to express your dissent towards this? Sometimes you can just express your dissent by moving on. So anyway, all that to be said, I could say more, and I won't really dive into it here, but I think it's important for us to acknowledge that, at least on my part. I don't want to put you on the spot, Austin, anything that you'd like to say, or we obviously have something unfortunate as well in our heavy part of the show to talk about still too.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that you hit on a lot of it. It becomes a local thing when people of the Auburn family feel connected to it. And I think that was very evident once you saw that the visual occurred. We caught the tail end of it, and we were walking around campus after the homecoming parade, and caught the tail end of it, and saw a lot of people affected that in some way or form are associated with Auburn. I think too, and to go ahead a little bit with when you look at the last week that's been with Dr. Chanelli, the vet center, with the school in Colorado shooting, with Charlie's assassination. It's just been a hard week. And I think from my perspective of where I've been able to see it most touched in Auburn is, sure, it was family weekend. Sure, it was homecoming weekend. And you could probably attribute to this crowd in a million different ways. But I know at our church, we were full this morning. And I'm not saying that that's directly related to that. Family weekends usually are pretty full. But I know that our pastor was able to talk about how important it is. This is not our home. And you may have a lot of questions on where all this on the spectrum lies and what it means and where, how you find joy or how you find hope in it. Like Kyle alluded to, we've been very honest on this podcast that for us, that's Jesus Christ in a relationship with him. And to know that that's where we fully believe you can find your most hope and find your most satisfaction and not things of this world. I think is a key thing to remember in weeks like these when it just doesn't make sense a lot of times. And so, it's been a rough week as a community member here, and We'll get to talking about Dr. Chanelli. That kind of started everything, and then with the school shooting and with Charlie's assassination, it's just kind of compounded to be a really, really big week and rough week for a lot of people in this community and others. But this community is one we cover the most, and so I love that you brought that up. And man, I just hope that. Our pastor says this a lot too, but there's a lot of really great churches in Auburn. And I hope that ours and others are recognizing the need in this community and being able to feel that by being a sounding board for people to listen. Because there's a lot of questions right now. I don't want to liken this, but it was this week as well. I don't want to liken this week to 9/11. Because I think that was a greater scale in terms of impact and effect, obviously. Yeah. But I just remember the reaction of how many people just found their way to a church. And I think you're seeing a little bit of that on a microcosm here in Auburn. And so, and probably other places as too. But I just hope that, if you are one of those people that's asking questions and looking for an answer somewhere, Kyle and I have a firm belief there's one place to find those. And I hope you reach out if you are wanting to know more.
Yes, it's the only answer that will help all of this make sense. Whether it's this tragedy, unfortunately, the next one, we live in a fallen world. These things will happen again until Jesus comes back. And it's something that if you're not grounded in something much higher than yourself, it's going to be difficult to process. And just a final note on that, please, folks, those of you that are upset with that situation in terms of the positive response that people are having towards Charlie Kirk, please do your research. Please do your research. Please represent yourself well. Please represent Auburn well. That's all I'm asking. We're still in the phase of dealing with the difficult things about this week. Certainly, you've already brought her up once before, and we'd be remiss, again, if we didn't spend enough time talking about Dr. Chanelli, a former professor at the Auburn Veterinary School here. And, man, you just want to talk about a way to kick the week off. Finding out that our loveliest village on the plains, those of you that live there, those of you that call it home just for a weekend, as we've called it here, it rocks you when anybody has something that something happens in that special place for us. Dr. Chanelli was unfortunately attacked. I won't go into the details necessarily. There are plenty of news stories about there, but at Kiesel Park, and unfortunately lost her life by just, as far as I understand it, just something random, not really a motive that I'm aware of or anything like that. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Austin. But man, other than we've talked about how we deal with these tragedies, whether it's a national scale one or that, and grounding ourselves in Jesus. But Austin, I hate this. I could ask it a better way, and I'm trying to figure out how I'll hold others accountable other than thoughts on. But I'm asking your thoughts on the situation, I guess, unfortunately, with Dr. Chanelli.
Yeah, not to downplay any of the other tragedies we talked about, but that I feel like that has been the most pressing thing around Auburn, just because stuff like that does not happen here uh, very often. If and this is not a shot at any school. We love to take jabs and
Sure.
be mess with our rivals, but this is not a shot at any school. But you hear of things at other places, and
Yeah.
you hear of tragedies that are in maybe bigger cities or places where it's just there's more likelihood because of whatever, more people,
Mhm.
more communities around it, whatever. Just Auburn, we like to call it that loveliest village because it's kind of in a bubble. You're kind of in a bubble here. One of my college pastors when I was in school called Auburn Neverland, because it's just it's a very small place with a very magical place, and everybody's doing things together, and stuff like that doesn't enter that sphere very often. So to hear of that
Yeah.
last weekend, and then leading into the week, finding out more about once they found the person responsible and how that and putting a trial and all the more details that would come out, just kind of rocks this community a little bit. Kiesel Park, the school I work for had a cross country meet there this past Saturday. Emily and I take the boys there. We have been there with friends. We've taken family photos of others there. Like a very frequented spot for people to just meet and converse and walk their dog. And so it's terrifying to think about something like that. Just, truly, she was just, it happened to be there, and it happened to be her life that was taken.
Mm.
And so, and I think all that kind of to tie a bow on everything I've already been saying, that all that leads to so many questions on why, or how does that make sense, or that's just not fair. And I don't know how you get through something like that and be able to live with those questions without that higher faith we've been talking about. So
Yep.
it's just been hard. Like you said, it's been a rough week. I think there's still more details to come, and that will kind of keep this lingering. But man, I just really hope and pray for Dr. Chanelli's family and friends, that they're able to kind of grieve appropriately and as long as they need. But and her students, and I mean, so many people, right? Like that's a after effect too of that small community, is you just touch so many people by
Right.
being here. I just hope so many are able to kind of grieve and process appropriately, and can get closure where they can.
Yep. And you know, the I struggle for words here at this moment because you wish you knew how to help. You wish you knew how to change the story here. But it's unfortunately something that has been very prevalent for the Auburn community, the Auburn family, and more importantly, the family of Dr. Chanelli and those that are closest to her. So I think it's made fun of a lot, the thoughts and prayers statement. And I think it is overused at time because really the main thing that will work is prayer for healing, prayer for safety, prayer that this is the last time that we talk about this subject in the loveliest village on the plains. And the main thing that we can continue to pray for is that it will remain the loveliest village on the plains in people's hearts and minds, and not let people live in terror of something like this happening ever again. Just we hope everybody will be careful, and we're praying for the family right now. So we try to make a difficult transition from all of that to some good things this week, other in the Auburn potpourri spectrum. Let's try to do that the best we can, Austin. We got some schedule news stuff for some sports that we do need
Yeah.
to break down a little bit. That's important for Auburn stuff. We got some baseball news. Now, I know most of you are probably like, hey, let's talk about the banana balls. Trust me, I don't know when the tickets are going on their little thing either. But listen, I know y'all are excited about
He
that.
hears that from Jessica nightly. Trust me.
Listen, she saw that. She came and found me and said, can you please get us to banana ball? I'm like, I will try, but you don't realize how little clout I have. Like it's like Austin has more clout than I do, and to be honest with you. And
I'm
he's
trying
gonna
to go to Hawaii for golf, Jessica. I can't worry about banana ball.
listen. We're all trying to go to Hawaii just in general, and it ain't worked out for me 2 times now. Just things outside of this. Anyway, all right. So spring baseball news. Obviously, the main part of the season, spring. They do play a little bit in the colder weather, but we've got the SEC schedules. Once again, this is the new trend. You put out either your non-conference or your SEC
That's
first,
right.
and then we kind of
Milk it for all it's worth.
piece it out here. So we got SEC opponents and dates. Now, this is very different from like basketball and stuff where they give you just the ones you're going to be playing and then the dates. We got dates, we got calendars, we got opponents here. So let me run through the list for everybody, and anything that sticks out to you, Austin, I want us to talk about it for a second. But we've got starting on March 13th through the 15th, and basically every weekend, if not every weekend, from that point leading up to May 14th through the 16th, we will have a series with obviously an SEC team. Starting at Missouri,
Oh, it's
home
going to
for.
be cold.
Oh yeah. You want to talk about cold baseball? And it's
Bless
like,
'em.
how much does the SEC office hate Auburn? Putting them in Missouri at
Yeah.
that point.
How about you go play in the snow?
Texas at home, followed
Pretty
by
cool.
Alabama in Tuscaloosa, just as cold there, because they say, whatever.
Yeah, I got you.
Arkansas for home, Kentucky at home, Florida and Gainesville, Oklahoma at home, Texas A&M on the road, Mississippi State on the road, and you'll finish out with a good old rivalry, Georgia coming to Auburn, Alabama for that final SEC series. So lots to look forward to here, Austin. What sticks out to me immediately is that Texas and Oklahoma are both coming this year, and they're both going to both coming to Auburn. Obviously, always happy to see Alabama and Georgia on the schedule, and that makes it for a fun year in general. What else sticks out to you, or anything else from the schedule?
Well, I mean, I could say it the obvious and just say, "Oh, that looks tough," but it doesn't matter who you put on there, right?
It's the SEC.
If you've been on this show for any length of time, you know how brutal we like to say the SEC baseball is. But man, I think when you add the extra layer, back-to-back weekends in College Station and Starkville, my goodness, that's going to be quite a time there to start the month of May. But Auburn should be in full gear by then and know what they have and what they're doing. And so that'll be a lot of fun. In Gainesville, always a really fun place to play, and always a place Auburn has a lot of history as well too. And then, yeah, like you said, with Alabama and Georgia, I love that they're both on there. You get one at home at least, and then I love that it ends the year. That's pretty cool. I don't feel like it's been too often Auburn's got to end the year in Plainsman Park in terms of the regular season.
Yeah.
And I always like to see that. Just send them out well. Have senior night truly on the last day. The last Sunday, and so I guess they usually do Thursday, Friday, Saturday last week, don't they? Because of tournament. Anyway, you know what I mean.
Yeah. I know what you
so mean. I think it looks exciting. A lot of big name programs coming in, coming in and going to play this year. So it feels like a true, well, I say true SEC schedule, but you've got Missouri, Texas, Oklahoma, and A&M on there who all feel still relatively new, but. I mean, it's a good one. It doesn't matter who's going to be on here. We knew this would be tough regardless.
Well, I love that you pointed out how difficult the end is, but as we pointed out too, the Missouri start in the cold is going to be pretty rough as well. That's why we get to come back to Texas, I guess, and just make things even easier for us. And look, here's the deal. Everybody's got to face the SEC that's in the SEC, right? It's going to be difficult. No matter, everybody's going to be, I got to play Auburn at Plainsman Park, and they're pretty dang good there. So
that's right.
You only lose these days the teams that almost win the College World Series, and then you beat some of them that do.
Gosh,
so just go back through it. But that's your schedule for the SEC. It shouldn't be. It was a little early this time, I think, to get the SEC schedule. So maybe before the end of the semester, we might hear I would expect the full baseball schedule, and we'll talk about that then when it comes out. Something for you this fall. Add this to your list of things we gave you for fall weekends in Auburn, and we warned you this would be coming out every year. You get fall ball for baseball, but you also have fall ball for softball, and there's a lot here at Auburn this fall. So come out, second year for the coaches Malvo, as I call them. And I know Austin loves me saying that every single time. Some familiar faces that we typically play in the fall here. Some of them of smaller caliber in terms of name, recognition, but also some big names here as well. Once again, let me run through it for you. This is from October 10th through November 8th. You can look at the specific dates, but the opponents in order: Gulf Coast State, Chipola College, Northwest Florida State, and then you've got Georgia Southern. All those are at home. We will go to Atlanta, only away game, to take on Georgia Tech. Looking into potentially, will we be in Auburn that weekend? No, I don't think we will. But that's also Banana Ball.
That is at Arkansas weekend. That's right.
And that's Banana Ball weekend. So maybe we're not. Anyway, it's a great opportunity for
you
those.
Better hope you're not at that one. According to Jessica.
Jessica's told me the assignment, but either way, those of you that are in the Atlanta area,
Auburn? You think a fall ball schedule preseason game at Georgia Tech for Auburn softball would lighten the load for Jessica to miss the bananas at Plainsman Park?
Probably not.
Look, hey, we love Auburn softball. I'm just saying, you're looking at those that might not be.
Speaking of which, when are we going to get banana softball? Can we get that next? And then
the Athletes Unlimited Pro Softball League is gearing up, and they're getting more popular. It might not be that long.
I'm wanting to hear it. Anyway, last two, Wallace State and Florida State. They'll be rounding out that. Now, time has been still TBA for that Florida State. But you get Georgia Tech and Florida State, lots of other smaller schools. It's just fall ball, kind of getting everything going, getting to the swing of things. But that's at least something for you to think about for your fall schedules as you're planning out the rest of your October and Novembers. Now, finally, just to catch up real quick on the other small sports stuff that's been happening. I don't do that. Don't call them small sports, Kyle. To catch up on the other sports stuff, let's talk about how they did this week. Auburn soccer started SEC competition, got the victory. Or excuse me, they did not get the victory. It was a tie, which is always frustrating to me that we allow this in soccer. I won't go on that soapbox. They took on Ole Miss at Ole Miss and unfortunately did get the draw out of that. Either way, it's a point towards their scoring system at the end of the year for how they place and all that kind of stuff in tournament play. But at least it wasn't a loss, and it's going to, it's his first year for head coach Armstrong. So getting back into the SEC, he would have loved to get that win over Ole Miss, having been the former Mississippi State head coach.
Gosh, yeah. And it would have meant just a little bit more.
Just a little bit more. Almost like it means more in the SEC or something.
More.
Volleyball, pretty good week. Started off with a sweep of Florida State at Auburn in Neville Arena. Was there for that. Saw that one.
You got to go, right?
Yep. Big shout out to Coach Crouch for his 75th win here at Auburn Volleyball, continuing to cement his legacy here at Auburn.
Hard to believe. It's hard to believe it's been that many already.
When they announced it, I heard 175 first, and I was like, wow. I know they play a lot of volleyball, but then obviously I looked up at
like 175 sets, maybe.
Like, it's more than that, I would assume.
Yeah.
But 75 or 75th win for Coach Crouch. Congrats to him. They did go back to FSU later in the weekend, and they did lose, not in a sweep. They won one set, so 3-1 Florida State won. But it just goes to show you, these are both two good programs that have some recognition to them, and it's just kind of that home court advantage that seems to be at play there, but excited for them kind of rounding out their non-conference play.
Which is good news, though, that home court, like they swept Florida State at home, had some struggles down in Tallahassee. So, get to an Auburn volleyball match and go check it out. It's a lot of fun, and they're picking back up. I think it's going to be a really good season.
It's going to be a really good season with plenty more to come. All right, let's jump into our first big main topic this evening. Yes, we're going to talk some football finally. Homecoming on the Plains, more on the festivities coming up in just a little bit. But let's talk about what happened. Auburn versus South Alabama, the very first time that we played the Jaguars. And I was trying to get their little like they do this, apparently, is what
J's up.
The J's up or whatever that is. It's much not as bad as the Louisville does with the L in their anyway.
It's kind of like a crickier. Yeah. Fun fact. In my day job, we had a college visit from the president and provost of South Alabama. It was pretty cool. I was pretty impressed. But they went into that. They said that they kind of explained more of it, and I was like, if I had just seen you doing that on Saturday, I would have had no idea why you're putting losers on your head. But
yeah,
it made more sense once they
made more sense. Can I just give some props to South Alabama? They were scheduled for a homecoming game, and they came in here and gave Auburn some fits at times. And I think obviously
talented group.
It elicits some response out of those Auburn fans that continue not to be able to handle things in context and freak out over one game in one instance. Now, to be fair, Austin, this is the third game, and I think we're getting much closer to getting an idea of what we can take away, what this team's makeup looks like. And certainly, we need to be thankful. There's been some homecoming games where we literally have had to get down on our knees and just hope somehow
Mm-hmm.
that there was going to be a miracle. And thank you, TJ Finley. Thank you, fumbling a ball across the goal line from Missouri, and a hit that was placed on that fumble as well, that secured Auburn's homecoming victories. And I have not yet to witness, at least that I'm aware of, a homecoming loss for Auburn.
Random tidbit.
What you
TJ
got?
Finley plays for that team now. Isn't that wild? He plays for
my
Georgia State now.
gosh.
Isn't that
He
weird?
does.
Isn't that
And
strange? Like that feels like decades ago.
that feels like the circle of life is at play somehow in all this. So poetic.
The circle of the portal.
Circle of the portal. It's a portal. Everybody makes it look like a circle, like one of those Doctor Strange things.
I think
like
he's hit every conference they have.
By the way, thank you, TJ Finley, for saving us in that game, which is still wow. Anyway, all right, this homecoming, we certainly want to grade it. I want to give you an opportunity, just anything you want to open up talking about, and whenever you're ready, just let's move into offensive grades.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that the offense. I was going to go one way, and I just completely lost train of thought. I think I think we all would have liked to see a little bit more efficient, maybe from beginning to end. Second half was a little bit more rough than the first half, right?
Right.
But I think that I don't know how you don't look at this offense and see Jeremiah Cobb continue to just absolutely make a name for himself. We talked about Damari Alston in the preseason and said, I think this is kind of his show. I think I was more of on the, I think it'll be by committee look. Now Damari's had some injuries, so that's kind of thrown some things in there. But I think Damari Alston, Jeremiah Cobb, is now a second week in a row with 100 yards rushing. And you have to attribute that some to the offensive line as well too. But I've been very impressed with Jeremiah Cobb, and it feels like he is one of those confident. You can be confident, and he's going to get 3 to 4 yards just about every time, and just lowering his head or bouncing to the outside. So the run game still looks very strong to me. And to transition that into Jackson Arnold, the run game with Jackson Arnold still looks very strong to me. There were maybe 2 4th and shorts there, and it just felt like every time it felt like, they're gonna get it.
It's confidence, right?
It's
confidence,
it's so nice. And it hadn't been that way where you just know they're gonna get one of those 4th and shorts without a problem in a while. I think that goes to everybody on the field, offensive line, Jackson, the running backs blocking, receivers blocking, and the play call. But that's a good feeling to have, and one that you hope pays a lot of dividends down the road once we start the SEC play next week. Passing game. Some highlights, right?
Big
Coleman
highlight.
decided to beat Cam Coleman.
Got a good shot of that, by the way. I was in the corner of the end zone where pie, but and
there you go.
Filmed it right happened. So we got it out there on YouTube if y'all want to watch it. It's or everywhere pretty much. But
didn't get to have his watches on when he caught it, but it was a good first touchdown for him. Pretty impressive throw, impressive catch. I don't know, and we might never know if Hugh Freeze and Jack Starr were still trying to force things in order to see what they got. I think there were some misses, some receivers still not getting open, some pass protection falling apart. All these things you can attribute to that just didn't make it flow as what it should. But that's certainly something I think is okay to be worrisome or cautiously worried about, especially going into Oklahoma. But overall, the offense put up another 30 points. Certainly could have been better. But I'm okay with what they're looking at as far as, because this defense was able to do enough. So I'm going to give them about a B+, I think.
On the offensive side of things?
That's correct, yeah.
I'm glad that you brought up the offensive line. As I've always said, it's been a group that I've been hopefully constructively critical of over the last several years. And so now, last game, a little bit to be desired probably, but bounce back against probably a better opponent as well. So maybe there is a little bit to that narrative that we just played down a little bit, or played a few more extra people that against Ball State that make a few more mistakes or things like that because they're further down the depth chart. But 1 sack again. So, hey, listen, that alone raises the bar a little bit for me. I think also too, people once again are falling victim to these narratives that they just let themselves be convinced of in the offseason. And when they don't see it, their confirmation is not, their bias confirmation is not being confirmed. I think I said like a double way there, but anyway, you get what I'm saying. I think really that's what's at play here. Let's wait, folks, until we get Oklahoma, that's going to be the first time I'm really going to take a step back and look at some of these things and worry about anything. And I don't really worry about much. So all that to be said, to counter what you said, I like B plus. I feel like I'm doing the offensive line a disservice if I don't make it an A. So I'm going to make it an A minus, because I probably would have liked to see a little bit more pizzazz and flair in the passing game, but you got the job done. You put up 28 points really quickly on them. So that's what you're supposed to do on homecoming. They got the win. Defense, I'll start us off. I think once again, there's some concerns about the defense of the passing game. I think a lot of people misinterpreted their thoughts about South Alabama and didn't do their research. And hey, what they did last week against Tulane, it kind of showed that they have a little bit of talent on their team. So hats off to them once again for coming in here and being unafraid. And when they got down really bad early, fighting back in to make it interesting, at least for a moment there, I think, in the third quarter. But Auburn was never really out of control of the situation. Certainly, you'd love to see a score that's different in terms of the margin of victory. I would say there were some very exciting moments. Keyron Crawford, certainly, with that interception for him. The first one of the year came from Keyron Crawford. I will say, I'm going to say B minus, and that's probably being a little bit generous, but are we the same?
We're the same. Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say B minus, C plus range, someone that maybe B, straight up B, maybe better. I think the tackling is still a concern to some, and I think that's fair. I think maybe corners, defensive secondary coverage is still a concern to some on all these guys that we were really excited about who turned in really great freshman years, maybe not living up to, very high expectations, but the billing so far. I do like what Kyle said, and some people won't like it. Some people say, oh, South Alabama, it doesn't matter. I do think that it's not that simple, and I do think that they had some really incredible athletes. This is not Ball State. I do think that you made a really good point with that, is that Ball State is significantly at a lower level than South Alabama.
They will tell you that. Sorry, Ball State of the Union guys, but y'all would say that as well.
Correct. Very honest with themselves. And so I think that when you throw in that Major Applewhite's their head coach and been around for a long time, and do you know their OC, Kyle?
OC. Oh, yeah. Why are you putting me on the spot? Just tell me. It's not going to go well.
Last name Petrino.
But
son of Bobby Petrino. So of course it's a brilliant offensive mind. I thought the quarterback Davenport was really successful too. Had a way about him that was confident. I will not be surprised if they win a lot of games in the Sun Belt this year. So all that to say, Auburn's talent wins out, and Auburn's talent is able to do what it's supposed to do against South Alabama on a homecoming game. Now you translate that, and that's why I say I understand some of the worry and caution maybe toward when you look at going to Oklahoma next week, who is right on the verge of a top 10 team, and has already played big games and won big games and has maybe the Heisman front runner right now.
Yeah.
So I think it's fair to be concerned. I am never too, now Baylor helps because Baylor is our first, our tasting of what this team looks like against comparable talent, right? That it is never okay for me to judge what is going to happen on a season until we get to SEC play. Absolutely. We find that out this week in a big way for the first time. And I think that it could go very well, could go very poorly. The defense will have to play better, no doubt, for us to see a win, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Really quickly, special teams. I don't think there was anything big to talk about other than Alex McPherson is 1 for 1 on his field goals. I didn't see any really big punting issues. It was nice to see Bryce Kane getting some more time back there for a guy that people were worried if he's not getting time, will he leave at some point? Even if he got a little bit at wide receiver as well. I think I'll just give them an A minus or an A, something like that, because there wasn't any. I'll just say A, because there's nothing really that I can think of, unless you can. That's negative.
I like A. I think, congrats and kudos to Connor Gibbs for getting to kick a little bit more, some kickoffs. Didn't get his chance at a longer field goal. I felt like Alex's was probably right on that border. So I was happy to see him get that opportunity to get to, put one through. You can tell in the stadium, everyone's pulling for Alex in a big way.
Oh, yeah.
So very good to see him. And kind of continue his progression. But like you said, nothing really negative in a way. I like you. I'm glad Bryce got some time. Sounds like Malcolm Simmons, who's that normal return spot, could have played if necessary. But we'll see. We'll see how this continues to go. And I still think that special teams room is going to be a big factor for Auburn one way or the other.
I think it will be as well, because it's already been in a big way important for this first part of the season. Really quickly, we want to always give you guys a quick preview of Auburn, Oklahoma, now with the full context of 3 games behind us. Starting SEC play in Norman, Oklahoma. First time ever for Auburn. I am still jealous that I cannot go to this game. I love going to historic moments like that. So that's a big bummer for me. Lots of stories here. First time for Auburn there. Jackson Arnold was the quarterback there. And for those Oklahoma fans out there that are just continue to over posture about this, you do realize that your head coach wanted Jackson Arnold to be his starting quarterback this year. He literally said that at SEC Media Days. Now, that's not to say that he's going to win the day for us in this game or not, because John Mateer is doing a really great thing for them over there. And they've got it's Oklahoma. They always have talent, right? There's a reason that the name Oklahoma in college football. I expect a formidable environment. I expect us to have our toughest test to date, as you already have said.
Absolutely.
A top 10 Verge team. This is going to be the truest test of where Auburn currently sits in this season. And as much as I say that, after we got past this Oklahoma game, we can have a really good idea of where we're currently at. That doesn't mean things won't change, good or bad, after that point. It's just where we can start to really formulate some narratives around this team. So I always give my predictions on the preview and prediction show on Thursday nights on YouTube. You can join us for that at 8 Eastern time if you want to. So I will reserve mine. The floor is yours, sir, to say any thoughts that you would like to about Oklahoma previewing score prediction.
I don't remember what I said preseason.
You said that they would lose.
Auburn would lose.
Yeah, Auburn would lose at Oklahoma is what I recall. Hold on. No. You said we would win. I had that backwards. If I remember correctly, you said we would win in Norman.
I knew that we had that's what you were thinking about. One of these next 2, we each had one was a loss, one was a win.
Somebody's gonna be wrong.
So I'm that's in the past, and it's in recording lore forever. So go back and call me wrong for sure. I think Auburn probably is going to fall in this game now that we have some tape on Oklahoma, what they've been able to do. I think Auburn loses. I don't think it's going to be bad. I think it'll be one they get tested in, mainly because of Oklahoma's offense. I still have a lot of questions about that defense in the secondary, like we've been talking about. I think John Mateer, his OC Ben Arbuckle, who's my age, by the way, which is insane, is just doing a really good job so far in offense. I think the environment will be crazy. I'm glad it's not at night. I think that would have made it maybe a little bit worse. But nonetheless, I think Auburn probably falls in like a 27-20 type of game. And Auburn's able to hang in, but just not do quite enough. I think Jackson Arnold has a good day. I really do. I think that it just ends up being enough Oklahoma to overpower Auburn. And Auburn takes their first loss of the year, but learns a lot about themselves.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. I expect a big Auburn contingent to go up, though. You mentioned how much you wish you could be there. I think Auburn people love going to these kind of events where it's the first time. Everybody wants to experience it when Auburn experiences it for the first time, like similar to Penn State and things like that.
Yep.
So I think you'll see a lot of Auburn people in Norman. But I'm going to say 27-20 Oklahoma.
27-20 Oklahoma for you. I'll reserve mine till Thursday night. But what I will give people a taste of, and this is just where I'm sitting on a Sunday evening. We'll record this before the game. Still a whole week to go. I get the feeling there's been a lot of comparisons to this team and the 2013 team. I think that's very dangerous, but I will make an analogy here. If everybody remembers that LSU game that year, LSU came in and hit Auburn in the mouth, and there was a rain delay that kind of slowed things down. I'll grant you that, if I remember correctly. But I get the sense that may be similar here. There's a lot of motivation for Oklahoma. They're a really good team. The advantage is all in their favor, and they could hit Auburn in the mouth very quickly. But it wouldn't shock me to see by the fourth quarter if Auburn is not sneaking their way into a situation where if the ball bounces correctly in a few scenarios, this thing could turn on its head very quickly.
Certainly.
So that's not my official prediction quite yet, but that's where I'm leaning at this point. It sounds like we're thinking a little bit similar on that for Auburn. versus Oklahoma. Excited for this one, though, no matter how it turns out.
Absolutely.
It's a big, big one.
Crazy to me, game day's not going. They just went to Oklahoma, and so I get it. But come on.
Not great planning, right?
It's the game. It's the game of the week to me. I don't really see anything that beats it. Of course, they're going to Miami to see Florida, but whatever. It is what it is.
For those Auburn fans that are saying, why aren't we this? Why aren't we that? You could always be Florida.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough right now out there. All right, let's do our last main topic. And certainly, Austin and I just gush over how much we love homecoming weekend. Austin gets to experience it to his fullest. As a resident, I only get a taste of it when I have to travel in on a very warm, but not too warm, just enough fall weekend for homecoming. I'm sorry, I said I wouldn't do it, but I'm going to. Can I please just make my plea one more time to all the powers that be that make these decisions? I don't care if it's the most difficult SEC team that's ever been concocted. The way the schedule is going to happen, I mean, you got a 9th game coming up anyway in the SEC. The chances are there are very few options for you to do the homecoming game against a weaker opponent and not have it in the scorching heat, at least how they schedule them these days, of Alabama in September. Granted, there's been ones that have been even worse than this. Could have been a lot worse. I grant you that. And I know that there are things outside of people's control, but please, this is my plea to everyone in every scheduling affecting capacity at Auburn. Please give us an October homecoming for once. That's all I'm asking.
I'd have taken Missouri on the 18th of October or even Kentucky on the 1st of November. I'd have taken either one. Those are really your only options.
Yeah.
And I would have been fine with either one.
There's not a way to avoid it being easy game and not playing an SEC game, an SEC team. Essentially, Vanderbilt. Look at them. I mean,
but everybody does it now, right? Like
everybody does.
It feels like everyone, and that's not to say, oh, you could jump off the bridge, but it feels like everyone's just like, let's just punt on the heat. Who cares? Do it in October. I would like us to try it. Just try it.
Just try it. Just please. I promise you, the Auburn family, there was a great crowd this weekend and so proud of the Auburn family. Can you imagine if the weather is just chef's kiss,
crisp.
Just crisp and like the high is 75, like just outstanding for a homecoming weekend. Anyway, all right, let's talk about what we did like about homecoming week. Always a ton, whether it is the parade, the pep ride, the floats competition, the homecoming court, the alumni band being here. I mean, you've got every flavor that you could talk about, but let's talk about the football angle of it still, not the game necessarily, the results of it. We've already discussed that. But as the news dropped this week, Auburn came out in the Stormtrooper uniforms for homecoming. And boy, that thing looks good on TV. And I don't go to many away games. I've been to a few in my life, but not that many. And they look good out there, especially on some ugly places like in Baton Rouge and Mississippi State where I've been. But man, seeing that just clean, crisp, frozen in a way look, it was beautiful, Austin. It was so good.
It was beautiful. It was surreal to see. It's something I've kind of wanted to see for a while on these whiteout games. If you follow our buddy Clint, it sounds like it almost happened last year. But Cal said no. And so that is the rule, is the away team has to agree to it. South was happy to do so. Stupid Cal. South was happy to do it, probably because we're giving them a big fat check. But it was very neat to see for the first time in, almost 2 decades. And so pretty neat to see at home in Jordan-Hare. I'll be honest though, once the game got started, I really didn't think about it that much. It kind of just, it did not cross my mind as much as I thought it would. I didn't think I'd have to kind of remind myself all that much. Maybe if we were playing a team that had blue uniforms, I might have.
It was not a good contrast game. Like, they chose to wear their white helmets. So there was a little bit. Can I be honest with you, Austin? The first couple plays, I realized I was cheering for the wrong team. I'm just gonna be honest.
Like, cheering for the red Auburn jerseys out there.
I was just like, well, because they were on the other side of the field and I was on the opposite end, and then I'm just obviously tweeting away and all this kind of stuff, doing what I do during the games, and I'm like, I look up and I see something with a full solid color, and I'm like, oh wait, that's the wrong. Hold on, took me a minute. It still looked good. it was exciting. We like history stuff like
That's
that.
right.
And it's a little something special for homecoming that you always want to do those special things like that. And I think it was a big success for the players and for the fans as well that really like that type of stuff.
Would you like to see it again?
Yeah, I'm down. If that's a home, like if you want to do it for a homecoming game situation every year.
If it's for the whiteout game, if fans are encouraged to wear white, if it's for the whiteout game every year, would you do that?
I would much rather there not be a whiteout game situation because that feels like everybody does that. I'd like to just do it for homecoming. I think that's another selling point for people to come to homecoming. And let's be honest, if they continue scheduling the game in September against a team that we're supposed to beat in the Heat, that not only does it work perfect for the players because they're in not as dark of uniforms and stuff. That's what I would say. I would rather it be a homecoming tradition rather than a whiteout game tradition. I know that probably doesn't make a lot of sense to folks, but that's just me. I'm taking it that you would.
Yeah. I'm not as hot now that I've seen it. It's like, if it happens, it happens again.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's not like something that we're going to die on a hill for.
It does feel special to see it on the road.
Yes,
like that does feel more special to me. And so if it goes back to just being a road game, I'm good with it.
We're good with it. It looks good no matter what. Glad we got to see it for those of us that don't travel to the away games as much as others. So I love everything about homecoming week. If you haven't checked out some of our videos that we've already got out, more coming. I mean, we got parade videos. I got a floats video. Let me start here because it's part of the parade. I thought the floats this year,
yeah, fantastic,
outstanding. Every single group. Now, I will tell you, I forget the group's name. There was one I kind of said, I think they probably just threw this one as fast as they could together.
Last night. Yep.
And it still looks good. Like you did way better than I can.
But you could tell.
You could tell who really put some effort into this. And if you've seen the one that won, we shared a picture of it out from the big screen. It's the one with the 3D Sanford Hall with planes going over the top. And I think it's Aubie kind of like coming over the top.
Aubie's like King Kong.
It's awesome.
There, like the King Kong you think of on the Empire State Building, holding a little South Alabama player. The floats are big at our house. Like that's what we want to go see on our walk at the parade. I'm very like meticulous on who I judge, but I'll agree with you, Kyle. And Emily and I said it. This year it was like it wasn't just clear cut. Normally I'll be honest. Most years it's like clear cut. It's like, all right, it's one of these. This year there was at least like 3 or 4.
Right.
And no, not to get into the nitty-gritty mechanicalness of the floats, but the smaller you do that paper, the better it looks. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
Yes.
If you just kind of stick it in there, then it does the line, the details are not as perfect. And so more people did that this year, though. You could tell that a lot of, bless the pledges and the new sorority members that had to do it all night long, I'm sure. But you could tell there was a lot of work put into it and a lot of good ideas. Yeah. I really liked the one that was like the mural of like a postcard of Auburn. We need that one. I'm like, we need that one on this show. That encompasses us.
Can I just say that
I wish I had a list of who did what. I feel like I'm doing a disservice, but
we are. And so I'm going to put the video out this week with just kind of showcasing them all. We'd love to hear your perspectives on which one you like, even though the winner's already been announced. It's the one we just talked about. That one, Austin, I saw Clint that night at the pep rally and all that.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm gonna be honest with you, that 3D one's gonna be hard to beat just because of the dynamics of it. But that postcard one,
that was pretty.
That was so good. So can we give
another year they win, I think, but it was a good one.
So here's a lesson for everybody in the next couple of years. If you want to take a lesson to see what's going to win, utilize some concepts and ideas and effort that was put in. It was good stuff this year. So outstanding, guys. Great job. Parade was fantastic as always. Let's talk about special guests for the pep rally. Honorary Mike Woman, Octavia Spencer in the house. I saw her everywhere, not just the public places of like she's going to be out there with the cheerleaders to play the Mike Man or Mike Woman role, but she was at the pep rally kicking us off there, making jokes about she just graduated 3 years ago. Not really. And I saw, she was leaving the game on her cart with everybody. She's just like waving everybody. She was having herself a ball being back in the plains. And I love seeing some Miss Octavia Spencer out. That was a great thing this year.
Absolutely. She's one of those Auburn people that just loves Auburn, despite where she's gotten and how far away she's been removed, maybe. She is not shy about her love for Auburn and its people and the family. And so I thought she was a perfect fit to have back this year. It was very cool to see her kick off the parade as the Grand Marshal. I thought it was hilarious when she came out there as the honorary Mike woman, and she, usually you come out there, you do the War Eagle, and then you let Mike Mann do his thing. And she stayed out there. She was like, and I think Zach, the photographer, had to tell her, like, okay, you got to go back now. I was like, let her stay.
And she started dancing off.
She's like, okay, I'm gonna take my time.
But listen, I'm like, let's let her do her thing out
there. That's
right. Listen, she is having a ball being honored in this way.
She's not, just in the grand scheme of things, not like the Tim Cook or the Charles Barkley level of the Auburn alum that you think of. But she's so good, and I think she's a very sweet one that a lot of people remember fondly of just being like, oh yeah, she's one of us.
She's one of us. And listen, I'll tell you this much. Anytime people ask, like, well, you're from Auburn, or you follow or you cover Auburn, like, who do they even have? Well, let's talk about Tim Cook. Let's talk about Bo Jackson. Let's talk about the Charles Barkley. Octavia Spencer is usually one of the first ones to come up, because I try to always talk about not just the sports angle. Tim Cook's a great example of the business angle, the acting, the celebrity angle. Octavia Spencer's a great one. The music angle, we go Jimmy Buffett, all those kind of things, him being associated with Auburn. So Octavia, welcome back. Thank you so much for resharing our post on Instagram. We saw you there, and we really much appreciate that. So I hope you enjoyed your time. We enjoyed having you back. All right, we've talked about floats. Octavia, we've talked about the whiteout, all of that. Anything else that we need to discuss in the homecoming space? Anything we're forgetting, Austin? We've already talked about the great video.
I'm sure we're forgetting something. But I had something on the tip of my tongue there, and I just lost it.
I mean, there's certainly, as you said, there's things that we're not going to spend our time on. I'm not going to, act like we're very well aware of all the different ladies that were candidates for homecoming queen this year. Always excited to see Kay Ivey back in to present that with the president as well. Alumni band. There you
go. Yeah.
So once again, I literally just put out the clip of that on YouTube of just them coming down and marching through. I always love to see them there, and I try to actually go get some footage of them. But every time I went this year, I'm gonna just say this. I'm sorry, South Alabama, but you did not need to have your band there this year.
My head hurt within 5 minutes of the game because we got 3 bands playing at the same time.
Because they overshadowed the alumni band, which is going to be a lot smaller than their band, and that was my biggest complaint probably all week. So I wanted to hear them more, and it was great to hear, because usually they can kind of coordinate a little bit with the current marching band across to play things at the same time. So
it was all over the place for everybody.
Everywhere. South Alabama wanted you to let everybody know that they were here. We got it.
First time we're here.
Great to see them marching through. So watch all those videos. Please do. It is awesome homecoming week, and we are excited to always cover that here, and we will continue to do that as much as we can, because it is always great to be an Auburn Tiger, and it's always great to come back home to the Plains. That's going to do it for episode 142 of the Auburn Experience podcast. We would always love for you to follow us, subscribe anywhere you can. If you'd like to contact us, social media DMs, I believe, are all open. E2C Network at gmail.com is our email if you need that. You can find me on Twitter at Loomis24. I'm kind of active there. I'm kind of not. Whatever. Where can they find you?
Yeah, at X, on Instagram at Austin G Scott. Hit us up, and hope everyone has a great week. Not to end on a somber note, but again, please, there are higher highs than this world has to offer. Kyle and I fully believe that, and so please, if you have just questions, if you want to talk about what it means to be not of this world, but in this world, please reach out and let us know.
Absolutely. So well said. And it's a great segue, actually, Austin, because I want to debut, and maybe it will work, and I don't know, but I kind of did a little preview on the post-game show. I'd like for us to end the show, obviously with War Eagles, but with this phrase every single time, because what we're about here is being about the Auburn Creed. Most importantly to us here are our God, Jesus, and how we align ourselves there. But everything that, if you're an Auburn person, even if you don't believe in those things, you should be able to align yourself to is the Auburn Creed. And so to close out for the first time, and hopefully if it works, I'd like to remind you to always do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. Thank you, and War Eagle.
War Eagle.